It is showtime. It is May 8th, which also happens to be a Mother's Day in the United States and pretty much the rest of the world. I mean, England does have another day that when they recognize Mother's Day, but it is Mother's Day, so I wanted to give a big shout out to all moms, all women who are not yet moms or who are hoping to be moms. You know, I happen to have been blessed with what I like to call other moms. So there was my mom, and then there were other people who played the role as my mother, like my grandmother, a cousin. So, and then of course there are other people who have kind of guided me along the way, even in my adult years. Uh, there's Marilyn, who is actually my business coach, and she is she's a different kind of mom, right? You know, the way that she kind of coaches us sometimes does feel like mothering. So there's that kind of mother right there, right? So however you look at motherhood or who you view as being a mother figure to you, make sure that you are taking the time out today to just acknowledge them and acknowledge the role that they've played in your life, right? So today is day 8, and ironically enough, today is all about gratitude. And it was not, I did not plan it, at least the time that I was making the schedule for this lupus awareness calendar. I didn't even remember that the 8th was going to be all about Mother's Day, right? But I think it ties in beautifully on the day that we are recognizing our moms. That gratitude is the discussion for today, right? So today's discussion comes from page 113 of the book I've been utilizing throughout this journey. Is Fragrance After Rain by Dr. Jaiya John. And it reads, gratitude is no small thing. It is the very perch upon which you and I manage, through all the chaos and pain, to stay in the world. More than that, it is the soul fire that keeps us desiring to stay in the world. Gratitude is how we hold on to life. I am grateful for you and for being here, over the last few days. Hi, Kathleen. Happy Mother's Day to you. I know that today, and thank you for taking this time out to be with me, because I know that there are a lot of people right now who are probably at dinner, having dinners with their moms and other members of the family. So I'm grateful for you for being here, and I'm also grateful for those who are going to be watching the replay afterwards as well. So I don't want this to be really long, because I know that people are busy right now. But what I do want to do is kind of share how powerful gratitude and expressing gratitude really is. And this is coming from a place of, I know this is all about lupus awareness, right? We're talking about Lupus Awareness Month here. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that as well. When I was first diagnosed, or when anyone, I guess, is first diagnosed with any kind of chronic condition, the last thing you're going to feel is a sense of gratitude, right? You probably feel a sense of dread. You probably feel anger. You probably feel grief. Grief is definitely one of the emotions that we do have to work through when you're dealing with a chronic illness, right? You experience loss. But gratitude for that diagnosis is not something people would normally reach for. But it could be a very powerful practice when you are dealing with any kind of chronic condition, or when you're just in a really challenging place. Right now, I'm just grateful for this view out this window. I'm watching a mama duck with her ducklings kind of, paddling behind her. Really, really pretty. There's so many examples of just life and new life and young life just right in front of me right now. So I'm really grateful for that. Really pretty scene, really beautiful scene. So back to being grateful for receiving a chronic illness diagnosis. That's something most people don't really look at as a place um, in which to be grateful, or space in which to be grateful, right? They're most likely pretty angry at that time. But if you sit with it long enough, as you're working through all of the, all of the symptoms, all of the days of pain or whatever you may be experiencing on a daily basis regarding that diagnosis, as you sit with all of that, you'll eventually get to a place of gratitude. When I can still remember the day when I got to that place, because I went through all of the different emotions related to any, whether it's a chronic illness or whether it's trying to overcome some kind of addiction, right? It's pretty much like the same thing, going through all of those different emotions. And I can still remember the day that I got to that place where I sat down and I said, I'm actually grateful for this diagnosis and all of the other diagnoses that I received, because they got me to a place where I am. They got me to where I really needed to kind of step back, kind of reevaluate my life, because I saw where the diagnosis got me to where I needed to kind of reevaluate what I was doing, figure out what my true purpose in life was, because sometimes we think we're fulfilling our purpose when we're really not, and sometimes it does take that diagnosis to kind of um, put us back on track, so to speak, right? So that's when I talk about being grateful for the diagnosis. It's what the diagnosis gives us, kind of a reevaluation of our life, kind of a chance to reweave our life the way that it should have been in the first place. And I did talk about that just a few days ago on one of these episodes. So grateful for the condition, that can be very, very powerful, powerful concept to embrace, right? Practicing gratitude is a game changer. It really can be a game changer. It improves your mental health. It can boost relationships that you have with others. Just noticing all of the little wins, things like when somebody opens a door for you, right? Things like the person who may bring your groceries out. There was a long time before I actually accepted, the guys who buy at any grocery store. They would always ask, would you like some help with that? And I would always say no, until I spoke to a girlfriend and I was kind of relaying this to her, and she said, Gina, no, anytime they offer, say yes. Say yes, right? And it really, because I was this Miss Independent, right? I can do this by myself. I can do that by myself. But when I really got to that place and I said yes, I would really appreciate if you taking my bags and taking them out in the cart and putting them into the car. And that was like a huge game changer for me. It really was. So little things like that. And I just mentioned the view outside my window. Maybe it's a view outside your window whenever you get up in the morning, right? Just being grateful for having that particular view to kind of help to get your day started. When you start by just observing the view, observing little things like the person that opens the door, observing how you show appreciation for the person that opens the door for you, right? Do you kind of do it in a rush, or do you really stop and acknowledge the person and say thank you, not just kind of a fly by night kind of deal, right? So this is what I want to talk about today, and I am going to give about, I think I wrote down 20 things, and it's actually 21. The last one's kind of a bonus. So I'm going to talk about 20 different, very simple ways that we can practice gratitude on a daily basis. If you haven't started with a gratitude practice, today might be the day that you decide to do that, right? All right, tip number 1 is keeping a gratitude journal. And that is very simple. I showed you this book. Let me show. It could be something as simple as this. This came from the Dollar Tree. Or you can get, let me show you another. You could get one of these, and then you could also decorate the front of it, maybe with some stickers or doing some kind of decoupage on the front, writing gratitude journal, and then starting on the inside. This is actually a book where I have a lot of different um, essential oil recipes for my perfumes that I have them documented in here, or different ones that I've been kind of playing around with. So this is kind of a journal for that. But you can use a simple book like this as your gratitude journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? Just a simple book. So start by keeping a gratitude journal, and in your gratitude journal, you want to write either 3 to 5 or more things a day that you are grateful for. And you can do this in the morning, you can do this in the evening. It is entirely up to you or you can do it throughout the day. Something happens to you and you thought, oh my gosh, that was just a nice thing that person did for me. Or I really appreciate that comment that person made to me. Grab your gratitude journal and simply document it in there. Tip number 2 is to remember the challenges that you've been through, but only remember them in as far as how it has brought you to where you are today. Don't remember them in a place of, of negativity or what occurred to you during that time. Just remember the challenge, but the journey that it placed you on to where you are today, right? And to show you just how far you've come as a result of the challenges that you went through and the growth that you've experienced. Tip number 3, share your gratitude with others. When someone does something for you, let them know how much you appreciate it. And that goes back to if someone opens the door for you, show your appreciation by saying thank you. Maybe you just stop for a moment and just said, I really appreciate you opening that door, because a lot of the times it's just something that's so quickly done and we just say thank you, not really thinking about, the fact that we are showing gratitude, but it's just done so quickly that there's really no thought that goes into it, right? So really take the time in expressing that gratitude. Tip number 4 is doing the 5 senses meditation. And I spoke about that yesterday, as well as I think the day before. The 5 senses meditation is basically your common 5 senses. You're seeing, hearing, touching, taste, and smell. So you go through what do you see? Name as many things as you can see. What can you hear? And again, are you hearing the chirping of the birds? Maybe it's the flow of the water. Maybe it's a car horn or a car alarm that's going off, right? Just name as many things. When it comes to touch, what can you touch? Maybe it's the cup of, well, I did have a cup of tea. It's empty now, but maybe it's this cup, and I can, this could be the touch as well as feel. I could feel the warmth of the tea that was inside the cup, but I'm also touching the cup because it does have all the textures on there. So what can you touch? Maybe it's the texture of the pants that I'm wearing. So go through all of the different senses. Tasting. Maybe it's the taste of the tea that I was drinking. I still have like the remnants of the cinnamon in my mouth, right? What do I smell? It's the perfume that I'm wearing, the essential oil perfume that I made a few days ago. Maybe I can still smell a little bit of the tea that is in the cup. So go through and just doing that simple 5 senses meditation just allows you to be grateful just for those simple things, right? Tip number 5, use visual reminders. Simple, maybe you have a little plaque that says gratitude on it. Maybe it's a little rock that has gratitude written on top of it that you keep sitting, you keep it on your desk. And whenever you see it, it kind of reminds you to always be grateful. So just little visual reminders can trigger thoughts of gratitude. Tip number 6, write a gratitude vow. It could be as simple as, I vow to count my blessings every day, right? There's something as simple as that, and make sure that you record it in your gratitude journal, which we talked about in tip number 1. Tip number 7 is to watch your language. And you're like, well, we're talking about gratitude. What do you mean watch our language? Well, words are wands, right? We talk about spelling. Spelling comes from the fact that you're using your words. So be very careful. Uh, People who are grateful tend to use words like abundant. They tend to use words like blessed or fortunate, right? Notice the power in those words. These are the type of words we should be utilizing when we're grateful. Don't don't go to a place of negativity. Being negative or constantly complaining is the complete opposite of being grateful. So that's what I mean by watch your language. So tip number 8, notice the beauty in nature. And I talk about this all the time. I think I've spoken about it every day on each of these live streams that I've done, because nature for me is like a master teacher as well as a master healer. So notice the beauty in nature. Just simple things like, oh gosh, the pink bird across the lake, the shape of the beak. Um, Maybe it's the flowing of the water, the way the water moves along. It could be just the wind blowing through the leaves as I'm watching. Um, but notice the beauty in nature, okay? As you're walking past, and you might notice a really pretty garden, stop and just look at all of the different colors that are in the garden, right? Um, Let me share a story with you. There was a time when didn't I didn't like winter. Um, I'm an island girl, so I really don't like cold weather. But over the years, I've really learned to appreciate all of the seasons for what they are and for what they bring. Because without winter, we wouldn't get spring. In the winter time, you have all the trees go dormant, they lose their leaves. Um, it does tend to get cold. We start to drink things that are warmer, usually, except for me, I love hot foods. But during the winter time, we tend to, kind of cocoon ourselves and hibernate and really kind of imitate nature in a way, right? But I didn't like the cold. I really didn't like the cold weather. But I learned to appreciate it because I know that after a few weeks of it being really cold, it's going to start to warm up, and then all of those plants that didn't have any chance to bloom during the winter time, all of that beauty is going to be revived again, right? All of the trees you were going to see these new life come out of these trees, and then new leaves come on, and then the fruit bearing trees are going to start to bring forth fruit. So by looking at it in that way, I really started to appreciate and to notice that every season there is beauty in every season. Even it rarely snows here in Florida. It did. It has, a couple times in the past, but I started to really appreciate the times that it did get cold. I started to appreciate the colors. I love to see the changing of the colors of the leaves. I really love to see that. But once I really started to appreciate every season for what it brought, that really kind of allowed my whole, gratitude practice to really flourish, because I started to notice each season for what it brought to me. Even though I'm still an island girl, I still don't really care for cold weather, but I learned to appreciate the winter, right? A lot of people don't like the summertime. I love summer. And I've even heard, there's something that I've seen written. I'm going to try to remember it. It said during the summertime, we love the summer, right? We complain about the heat a lot, though. In the wintertime, we complain about the cold, and we can't wait for the summertime. But then the summer comes and we complain about the heat. But when we get to a place, like I said, of really appreciating each season for what it brings, that gratitude practice, that gratitude awareness it's just so powerful, so powerful. And that was how nature has really allowed me to kind of develop in that area, just appreciating each season for what it is. Tip number 9, nurture your friendships. And this is a lesson from me, because I'm I have friends that I talk to all the time, and then I have friends that are really close to me that I don't speak to as often. But the friendship is still there. It's kind of, you pick up the phone and you continue as if it was like yesterday that you spoke for the last time, even though it might have been months, right? But this whole idea of nurturing your friendships, your those type of relationships grow when you take the time to nurture them. You take the time to pick up that phone call and you know say, hey, I know it's been a while since we talked, but I kind of miss hearing your voice. So, or send a text saying when are you available right now? Can we talk? Let's catch up, right? So nurture the friendships. Tip number 10, watch inspiring videos. And this is, I ended up writing an article because there was a time when I was first diagnosed with lupus that it was having a really challenging time. And there was nothing that you could possibly say to me that was going to make it any better. But I had to kind of dig myself out of a hole at one point, and one of the ways I did that was by watching inspiring videos. And when you listen, and a lot of these inspiring videos actually came from movies, and I did write an article where I showcased those particular scenes from the movies that were just like really elevating, right? So when you get into a place where you don't think you can find anything to be grateful for, I'll do is I'll share that particular article, and then you just click on those particular movies or the scenes from the movies. So just listen to them right there embedded in the article, and they really can help you to get to a place where you say, yes, right now I'm having a challenging moment. I'm grateful for that challenging moment, but I know things are going to get better, right? So that's tip number 10. Tip number 11, cook meals with love. And this should be a given, to say cook meals with love, but I do know that there are people who don't really take the time to, you know, when you're cooking, you could be in a really foul mood, or you're angry, and you have to remember those type of emotions carry energy. So when you take the time to really focus on the meal that you're cooking and infuse that secret ingredient called love into every aspect of the meal preparation, you'll see the difference. And I've spoken about this in a couple um, other live streams as well. So cook meals with love, and then think, because when you're doing this, think about the people that are going to be enjoying that meal, right? Even if you end up going out to a restaurant or something and eating there, one of the ways that you can show gratitude there as well is by simply sending a message to the chef. And I've also mentioned that in a previous video where I asked um, the waiter, how was the chef doing today? And the chef actually came out and said, I'm so grateful that you took the time to ask how I was doing, because I was kind of in a bad mood. And the fact that you cared enough to ask how I was doing. Now, I didn't know the chef from Adam, right? But he came out and he acknowledged just how much better that made him feel, knowing that somebody was thinking about him. But the thing is, there's kind of a, selfish reason for doing it as well, right? Because the thing is, you want the person who's preparing your meal to be happy. You want that person to be cooking with pleasure, and not these angry or sadness kind of emotions, right? Because all of that is going into your meal as it's being prepared. Now, yes, you are going to bless your food before you eat, but the idea is you want the person preparing your food to be preparing it with love. So if that simple gesture of asking how the chef was doing really helps him to improve his mood, but it also helped the way that he prepared the meal that was being brought out to me and the family that I was eating with, right? Tip number 12, commit to one day of no complaining. And this, I can tell you, is a challenge. But if you can do it, I would love to hear. No, here's another tip within that tip. Commit to one day of no complaining whatsoever. If you do find your mind kind of wandering into that, complaining mode, just simply say cancel, catch yourself, right, and go back. But this act of practicing no complaining is so powerful. And at the end of the day, after going through a whole day of no complaining, look at how much better your day is and look how much better you feel. But I I will let you know this, that this is a challenge. If you have done this, if you have taken the no complaining challenge before, I would love to hear from you. But I am giving that tip right now, and I'm extending that challenge to you. One day of no complaining. Tip number 13, meditate with your gratitude list or with your gratitude journal, or open it to any given day if you've been practicing that for a while, and just sit and meditate with that particular list that's in front of you. Right. Tip number 14, think of the people who serve you or serve the community and find little ways of showing gratitude to them. These are people who buy your groceries in the grocery store. Think of people like the waste management, people who work at the waste management facility, or the ones who drive the waste management trucks and come and pick up the trash in your community. Bus drivers, Uber drivers, people like that. Show a Find ways of showing your gratitude. Maybe you pick it on like at Christmas time, and as the waste management trucks are coming around, one of the things that I've done in the past is I've gotten little Starbucks cards, because especially at Christmas when it's cold and these guys are out there 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they take the time to come and pick up the trash in the community. We know it's cold. I mean, we can see that they have the thick gloves on. They also have on heavy jackets. So that would be a perfect time to do something as simple as a Starbucks card where they can go and maybe get a hot drink, right? It doesn't have to be any exorbitant amount of money. And trust me, they are very grateful of little things like that, because I've done it in the past and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. As soon as my shift is over, that's where I'm going to pick up my drink, right? So just little things like that. And they do appreciate it. They really do. Tip number 15 is to say thank you for the little things. And this could be simple things like, for example, my grandbaby, she loves to paint. She loves to draw. She loves to color. And I have a lot of her artwork. And I always take it and I put it up on the refrigerator. And she'll walk past and she's like, Patima. She calls me Patima, which is the Hindu word for grandma, but it literally means wise old woman. And she always looks at me and says, Patima, you put my art on the fridge. I'm like, yes, I did, because I like it. And you can see the glow in her face, She's like, oh my gosh. She thought it was like a big deal to put on the refrigerator. Or maybe she brought a little shell, or she went outside and plucked a little flower and said, Patima, here, put it behind your ear. Because, of course, I don't have hair to put it in. So I always take it and just kind of tuck it behind my ear. And I would wear that little flower until all the petals start to fall off. But simple things like that. So if you're a grandchild, or maybe you have young children and they bring you, little things, maybe it's like a dead bug. Who knows? It doesn't matter what it is. Just be appreciative of the little things that are given to you or that are done for you. Tip number 16, and I talked a little bit about that earlier, embracing the challenges. Whatever challenges might come your way, embrace them. Be grateful for them, because those are opportunities for you to grow, right? Opportunities for you to grow. Tip number 17, when times are challenging, focus on the good, right? Focus on the things that are good and utilize those challenges to actually help you to grow. When times are bad, so when times are challenging, then really think about, okay, number one, what lesson is this challenging time trying to teach me? Don't just necessarily look at it as I'm going through a rough time right now. This is like really depressing. Why is this happening? But look at it as a lesson that that moment is trying to teach you, because there's always a teaching moment um, in whatever crisis that you might be going through. And the Chinese have, there's a, if I thought about it, I would have brought it. There is a word in Chinese where the word itself, crisis, has two symbols. One is the challenge, one means a challenge, and the other symbol means opportunity. So it's basically saying that the word for crisis means that there's always an opportunity in the challenge that you might be experiencing, right? But it comes to that one word, crisis, opportunity in the challenge. So always look for that opportunity for growth or the lesson that it might be teaching you in that particular challenge. Tip number 19, post a gratitude post on social media, whatever your social media platforms might be. Tip number 20, and I alluded to this earlier, design a gratitude rock. It might be going down to the beach, and maybe you find a shell, and you can just kind of paint that and use it as a reminder on your desk. And every time you look at it, it's reminding you to be grateful for whatever that moment might bring up for you. It could be finding a river rock and simply painting gratitude on it, or painting a beautiful scene on there and putting that on your desk. One of the things that I've seen a lot of people doing lately is painting these river rocks, and then they take it out into the community and they hide them, right? And it's an opportunity for someone else to find that rock, and then maybe they go to a different state, and maybe they hide that same rock in a different state for someone else to find. And there's several groups that are on social media where they post the picture of that particular rock, and then I think underneath they might have the artist's name written. They show it on social media, and it kind of gives the artist an idea of how far that rock has traveled. And it's just a simple river rock that's painted, but it gives you that chance just to be grateful for the little things, finding a river rock with a beautiful scene painted on it. Who can find something like that and be upset, right? You find this beautiful little scene, you can't be upset about it. I mean, it does lift your spirits. And I've actually found one myself, because I looked down at this pile of rocks and I thought, well, that rock looks kind of out of place. But it turned out to be a rock that someone had painted, and I took it and then held it for a while and then put it somewhere else, right? Another idea about surrounding this, designing a gratitude something, is create a gratitude tree. So this can be just finding green construction paper, or buying some green construction paper, or just using simple lined paper, cutting it into shapes of leaves, and then writing things that you're grateful for. Draw what looks like the trunk of a tree and use those little pieces of paper with the things you're grateful for. Or you can do it as a group, as a family, and have each person maybe write or design 3 different leaves and complete that gratitude tree. And on each leaf is something that each person is grateful for, right? There's your gratitude tree. You could also do a gratitude box or a gratitude jar. One of the things I've done in the past is a gratitude jar. You just grab a large mason jar that has a cover, and then beside it you want to have little pieces of, for example, little strips of paper. You just cut tiny strips of paper and have a pen available, and then throughout the day you can have each person or each member of the family, or if someone comes to visit, they can write something that they're grateful for, fold it, and then put it into the jar. And maybe at the end of the year, or at the end of the month, depending on how quickly the jar fills up, you sit down as a family and you open up and start to read all of the different things that each person has written on those little strips of paper. And you'd be amazed at the things that that people would write. It's things that you may not necessarily think about, but it could be as simple as, when I walked in through the door, I was so grateful for the smile that you gave me. It meant that you were really happy to see me, right? Simple things. Another way of doing this could be creating a gratitude flower and have those, cut out little things that look like petals. Have people the members of your family, or if you're doing this as an activity, maybe at your workplace or at a little get together with your friends, you cut little pieces of paper to look like flower petals. You draw a nice big circle to be the center of the flower, and then you use the different pieces of paper to be the petals of the flower. And just see how beautiful that is. You could frame that up afterwards. You could glue it onto a nice big piece of canvas or board and have it as a wall hanger for you to look at and be reminded, right? So those are simple ways. Now, the bonus, I mentioned that they were 20, but they're actually 21. The bonus is today I want to show appreciation for my children and my granddaughter, because without my oldest son, I would not have my grandbaby. Without my grandbaby's mom, I also will not have my grandchild. So today I want to show appreciation for them. I know today is Mother's Day, but without our children, I wouldn't be a mom. And I know that there are moms out there who didn't give birth to children, but they're moms nonetheless, right? Because I can name several people who were instrumental in being the other mother or other mothers in my life. So there was my biological mother, and there was my grandmother who actually raised me, and then I had several aunts as well as a cousin who played the roles of mother in my life as well. So I do want to show gratitude for them. I also want to show gratitude for technology, and this is like, technology, really? Yes, because without technology, it wouldn't allow me to connect with friends and family throughout the world, literally, right? And it also wouldn't allow me, technology also allows me to connect with my oldest son, who happens to be almost 3 hours away and couldn't make it to be with me today because he has an appointment tomorrow. He underwent some surgery, so he has an early appointment in the morning to have stitches removed. So it would be a bit of a challenge for him to drive 3 hours here and then another 3 hours back. So this technology really allows us to connect, and throughout this month we'll have a chance to actually get together in person. So I am grateful for technology in that way and in so many ways, because we technology does get a bad rap sometimes, and it's not something that I say that yes, you should be hooked on technology, but it does. I am grateful for the fact that technology does allow us to connect in ways, whereas in the past we would not have been able to, right? So those are my 21 tips of how to show gratitude. And if you have any other ideas that I would love for you to pop them in the chat, post them on social media. I would love to see those. So the one thing I would love to see everyone doing is getting and working with a gratitude journal. And like I said, a gratitude journal is just a simple book that you can record 3 to 5 things in on a daily basis to show your appreciation for, right? I am appreciative of you spending this time with me. I know it's Mother's Day, and so happy Mother's Day to all of you moms and mom to bees and moms who play the role of moms, and you know what I'm getting at. I'm really appreciative of you being here at this time with me. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 9. This time seems to be going pretty quickly, hasn't it? So today was day 8, all about gratitude. Tomorrow is, it starts off, dearly beloved. And every time I read that passage, I think of Prince, the song, Dearly Beloved, we are gathered here today. All right, so this is coming from page 205 tomorrow. So let me find page 205 so I can kind of give you an idea of what we are going to be talking about tomorrow. Dearly beloved, if your self-esteem depends on social attention and compliments, it isn't self-esteem. So tomorrow we are going to be talking about private gardening and self-esteem and the kind of dips that our self-esteem endures or goes through when we are diagnosed with with something as challenging as a chronic illness like lupus, any kind of autoimmune condition. And I'll share my story a little bit of what I went through when I was first diagnosed. So that's what tomorrow is all about. Just kind of you know, the inner gardening, right? So I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And again, I'm appreciative of you. I'm grateful for you being here with me today.